I am a community builder based out of South Africa. I have working purely AWS technology from 2018, and it's just been an AWS focus. I have prior knowledge from the IT industry, where I was in IT support, and then from IT support I grew into an engineer supporting mostly Windows workloads for about 5 years. I switched where I was spent of Linux, OS, containers, and that's when I found cloud. And I found cloud purely by coincidence. It's actually a very it's a story where I was approached on LinkedIn by AWS, and back then I had mostly worked with Windows, and I had the opportunity to interview for cloud support engineer. And through that interview process, I learned a lot about AWS. And I will cut the long story short, which will be maybe a story for another day, but I didn't make it through the first round. And I didn't want to do more in Windows. I really liked the cloud, but I didn't specifically have a knack for just focusing on networking or Linux or Windows or DevOps per se. I just wanted to work with the cloud and use that in my day-to-day activities. And it was from that time when I looked for a AWS company that was hiring, and I took a complete U-turn where I was able to start off in a junior position. And then from there, I was able to certify and work my way up. And it's been a lifelong journey of learning, but it's been extremely fulfilling. Before I was working, I didn't get like the joy that I do now in my day-to-day. So I've gotten a lot more value from something that I do 160 hours a month. It's a long time. It's not fun. And I stumbled upon just being involved in as much as I could. And I got a message from someone in AWS, and they had told me this program, and that's just accelerated where I've been able to learn more different fields. So yeah, that is pretty much a highlight of my career. I have been mostly involved in migration from my AWS world. So I came from an background which is pretty much the infrastructure world of IT. So I was managing uptime, making sure that there was a data center that was running, and I've even done a center migration, which was a lot of work. And from doing these things, and then from learning about the cloud, I was able to have a lot of knowledge that was helpful. And now my focus is taking that knowledge of how an operation works. And now I'm learning more on the development side of things, automating the infrastructure. So I work for a financial institution as a consultant. I am a platform engineer, and I'm also an AWS architect. So I write code in terms of Terraform. This is just to follow with a lot of best practices in terms of architecture and DevOps best practices. And I do a lot of that, which is great. I write some code, I test it out, I get to make a lot of mistakes really quickly. And when I'm spinning up whole data centers with a touch of a line of code, it's really empowering that you're working in a new team, and these business owners are like, how did that just happen? Like, how is this even possible? And it's just been really great to be in an industry that's changing so much. So apparently the best time to learn cloud was 5 years ago. The second best time to learn cloud is now. And I thoroughly enjoy that process. I've had to switch and transition and change and kind of realize, okay, what's kind of needed from a cloud background and where do I fall short and kind of work on my barriers that way. And that, so yeah, I write a lot of code, but I also need to understand the, the, the fundamental architecture and relaying that back to either platform team or to the stakeholder. I'm looking after a few environments, so production. So there's a lot of moving parts, especially when we're innovating really quickly. So that's what makes things really, really interesting, because 2 weeks can change a lot. You can go from having no environment to having a working POC. Yeah, specifically, when I'm not working at clients, I am a consultant. I would speak to customers and figure out where they are in their journey. And from being on a few cloud journeys myself, I'm able to put myself in their shoes and then be able to translate how cloud has changed things, and from where they are in their journey, kind of show them where they can go next. And so I'm neither here nor there when it comes to serverless or containers. I love both. I just want you to modernize it. And yeah, I help customers do that. And I have mentioned I thoroughly enjoy it, but it was it still is a never-ending journey. And I was grateful to find a company that was just focused on AWS. So I was knowing that when I went to work, I was making sure I was getting those hours in practicing and being involved in everything, right? And with that mindset, I was able to learn really, really quickly. And through during 1 year and trying to attend as much as I could, I was able to definitely leapfrog certain old colleagues in terms of my career. And my life has changed significantly as well. When you're getting certified, your paycheck changes too. And that's kind of the sweet spot where you've improved your work-life balance, and you've also raised it. And the demand is so huge, it is so enormous that the supply is just not there. And positioning yourself correctly and doing the work, it's guaranteed success. There is no kind of shortcut. You have to do work, and I'm glad I found it early, and it came from, like I mentioned, a failure of an interview. But now things are definitely, and I'm loving like how I would never consider myself a developer in terms of writing software, but I'm still writing functions to perform in the cloud to serve business goals, and it's my line of code. It's not something where I went to a GitHub and copied something off the site. I saw a problem, I was thinking about it, and that was like my work where I was able to fix something, and that for me is like why I love, and I love breaking, and it's kind of So yeah, I think I've mentioned everything. Um, and then the last kind of bit is trying to help others and find others that are going on their journey, and where I'm either learning from someone, um, I'm either passing on knowledge to someone else, and that's why I love the AWS community. Everyone is so helpful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have been a community builder since last year, October.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think we joined together.
fantastic.
That's good. So you said you can spin up an entire data center within 2 weeks. That's really interesting. Like, what all goes into a data center? Like, what all goes into spinning up a new data center? Is it some code, some configuration, some discussions with the client? How is it?
So the use case would be important. So let's say my use case um, is, like you mentioned now, to spin up the data. So for me, um, you're looking at a traditional sense, and then you're looking at a cloud sense, or uh, even those two concepts can be confused with what is cloud, but I mean cloud as a hyperscaler. And by a normal traditional data center, let's say we're working for a traditional company that has their data center on site. And to have a data center on site, you need to consider quite a number, um, uh, in a position where you're not going to be impacted by lots of rain or flooding, so you need to be quite high up. Need to position data center to have multiple levels of access, fire suppression system, failover, electricity, yes, cooling. Um, all of this is a huge capital expense. Okay? Then we're going into the switches, into the networking, to the integration, and the patching of the cables.
Hmm.
Like you still need that today, but a lot of that can be abstract. Um, so now that you have your foundational data center, you have some network, you haven't even gotten to the actual servers that inside your data center. So you can have, depending on what uh, architecture infrastructure you, but you can have a physical server that has no virtualization. So it's just um, like one big box that usually has a web application installed, it has an application installed in it, and a database, okay, on one server. And this is a single point of failure. Two, it's really expensive just to keep something that's single. And then um, you have you can have a few of those servers, or you can have a much bigger server, but you're able to spin up smaller servers inside that. So this is where VMware or virtualization kind of came into play, but sort of there. And yeah, inside this data center, you still need to worry about backups. You still need to worry about web so security, so your firewall protecting, and the public access, how services. Um, I can go on. Okay.
Okay.
So that you would usually take a team of quite a few to maintain and manage contractors as well, to maintain like the fiber networks, so on. So with that huge amount of focus, you're, you're now taking a look at understanding and learning cloud computing, where you learn about these infrastructures, but how you would cater for um, a a workload to always be redundant and resilient and in its optimal form, where traditionally it would take a significant amount of time and planning and prep and capital expense, where I didn't even speak about like load balancers, and those kinds of things. And in the cloud, this is some training. able to understand the concepts and get something that was significantly difficult to see, where you have maybe two sites running at the same time, where you have certain one data center, and that's at the same cost. So you're able to say, okay, this was the previous architecture my customer at their journey. They don't understand how the cloud can benefit them. So let's show them what a highly available auto-scaling application can look like. And then being able to just separate that monolith that's running everything on one server, and you can just separate it to run on different servers and using a managed server as a database. Like that is still segmentation, and decoupling where before it was. So then adding on top of that, tailed logging and monitoring, and completely separated environment. So you're not exposed as you were before. Security, when we speak about architecture in AWS, it's encryption in transit and encryption at rest. And I haven't seen that in the traditional IT sense done well. There's encryption at rest, but transit, not so much. So yeah, when it comes to data centers and then what you can do in the cloud, so you spend some time, you've gotten certified, you understand how to change a architecture, and through that, able to infrastructure as code, so CloudFormation, and you're able to script out how I'm going to make this infrastructure, and from there, I'm able to have an exact replica of production. So when in traditional senses, you couldn't really scale your main application easily. You can't say to your boss, I want the exact same infrastructure just so I can test once a week. Your boss is probably going to say, sorry. But now, with like CloudFormation and like Terraform, you're able to take this infrastructure, able to spin it up really, able to run your tests, and then bang, you just break a third. And you now know like this works. And it doesn't need to run. That becomes at the touch of fingertips. And you're able to build what other people modules, Terraform, GitHub repository, hundreds of them. And through Google searches, you're able to pick these up if you need to change it to specify your needs. And from there, you kind of are good to go. So quick starts is where I usually start, find something that's been used. And yeah, using that mindset of build on back of giants. That would be exactly like my approach. So that's how you are able to do it. Get a tier web application and you don't have to worry about it.
Nice.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. So, like, how is your everyday in office? Like, do you have to, are you always working on some setup, or is it sometimes setting up and often maintaining it? And what is it?
So, I would say in my journey is a lot of setting things up
Okay.
and laying the foundation. But a lot of the time, I'm working with individuals that are experts in their field, but they don't know cloud. So
Okay.
it would be part enablement education, part writing code, part building new things. So I generally, if the client that I'm working with is extremely agile, it's a different approach. But specifically, we're working from go backwards, and that's where they match with cloud and best practices. Things work out really smooth. But if you were to consider a skill, obviously people skills is probably number one, is the right word, because I need to be really clear with intention and with what you're going to do. Specifically, working with people may not have, I'm talking. So realistically, I'm I am enabling, I'm drawing architectures, I'm writing documentation. I'm also coding in the cloud. So it's being able to take all your knowledge and being able to apply that where things really add value. But I would say that's the nature of my role. I do architecture play, and that's a few of my colleagues who are developers, they just write code. And they have to sit and troubleshoot, and they're not as involved in the product facing kind of things, but you're present in a sprint, and through there, working backwards from a project. And there's always some there's always something to build. Usually, once like if you focus, I usually have a working architecture relatively quickly where things are stable, and then you move into a management environment, and then there's just developers writing code. You have a full automation pipeline, is working fine, and that's the thing. And usually then I would have to find something else that's given to me to cloud. So usually as infrastructure deteriorates, business says, okay, we no longer have this has spent its capital lifetime. We have new environments in the cloud that are successful. Now let's do environment. That's kind of the loop. It goes along like that. You build it thing well, it gets into a working state of environment, and we use that certain benchmarks. So the wall architecture probably the best tool to like you kind of falling short, and also from a logging and monitoring perspective, and being able to have a automated environment, not just infrastructure, but SDLC lifecycle. So that's pretty much what the aim is. Yeah, I go against, do I have a full CI/CD environment and all the DevOps practices, so configuration management or CAC, then CI, so continuous integration, focus on CD, so are we going continuous delivery or continuous deployment? And infrastructure as code, I love Terraform. CloudFormation is great as well, but the flexibility, I'm just one with the hash Terraform. And then from a logging and one, yeah, CloudWatch X are great. So on and once you know what these practices are and how you use them, able to determine, and that's where things are not stable. When it no longer show them and saying, okay, I hope it works. Uh, I, I, I better send my code via FTP or something. That's not the way to work. Oh, we're adding test-driven development structure.
Mhm.
And yeah, the culture is another game of its own, but get to live in that. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, so it's an ongoing life cycle. It's not that you create a data center and your job is done. It'll keep new requirements will keep spanning, and uh, it won't be a stable setup anyway, because new requirements as the customer grows, he will want something entirely different. And since it is easy to make a change, people want more change.
Absolutely. And I guess that's what you cater for, right?
Yeah.
Catering for rapid development where um, the ops team is obviously focused on the stability and upkeep, but your developers are knowing that that's kind of taken care of and they can just write features. And business team is really happy because they get a team that can um, punch out things to market rate. And yeah, that's how you beat your competitors. Technology is what you need to focus on in order for your business to grow. And that's the bottom line of where the money is. The closer you are to the product and what you do for the company. So, and you once you're in that environment,
Yeah. So because a lot of newcomers have a fear that if they go into the AWS or some such domains, cloud typically, they say, okay, world is migrating today. After a few years, the migration would be complete. Then there's no job for an architect. There's never going to complete.
because once the workload has moved, it needs to be maintained. Okay, and you're most like from my experience, I haven't seen entire data center. I've seen a large portion of the data center. There's always hybrid activity.
Okay.
Um, so uh, I would say the market is just starting off to really like get going, and we're not even at the peak. It's
Okay.
like finding Bitcoin before Bitcoin has it's like Bitcoin has started, but you're kind of you're coming in. It's still early, and
Mhm.
with all these workloads that are being migrated, um, that's where the rest of the innovation is going to come. Um, that's where the workloads be at. More data centers are same in the same countries to cater for this high demand. So, um, and if I take a look at my LinkedIn, there's more AWS roles that can't be filled than I've ever seen. Um, it, it's it's just one of those things. There's certified, uh, people will find you for a job. You won't have to look for them. Let's just put it
Okay.
that.
So there's a long, long time before it stagnates.
I would hope so, and I absolutely believe so. To be honest, yeah.
That's good. Okay, so next point is, how do you see yourself 10 years down the line? Do you have any changes in mind, or do you want to continue this track, or you have some products in mind that you would want to develop?
So to keep myself always interested and always learning, I am learning how to code, like I've mentioned a few times. So from having my OS knowledge and and from an ops background, I see myself bridging that gap. So I don't know um, where that takes me, but from the role that I have now with architect, And as a cloud engineer, I see myself being a senior by that time. But I do have dreams and ambitions of doing my own thing one day, and through that, probably have my own startup where I'm servicing customers that want to innovate. It's just
Mm.
where I think I will start people and I that at a much higher level myself. However, yeah, being a senior architect has a nice ring to it. Make my way up. I see myself probably doing that for a good couple of years. So maybe I'll get my PhD in AWS, so like working with the technology for 10 years.
Okay.
By all means, but uh, I've mentioned code. I've mentioned running my own firm, senior. Um, I'm also going to say, from an AWS perspective, I definitely want to be a hero as well.
Okay.
I want to give back. I want to be known helping other people get their career started and have like changed their lives. Um, and yeah, if you have a um, if if you just focus 3 to 6 months, all it takes to get certified, to get some experience, and you can get started. As long as you're in the right place to get started, guaranteed from there. So I want to help as many people do that. And uh, let's say I'll give you a goal, like helped 100 people succeeded in their career where I work with them like one-on-one. That would be my goal. So
Wow.
right now I started with 3 people,
Mm.
and right now it's beta. Before it was alpha, now it's beta. And
Okay.
once I've seen the results from a few months, then I'll open. That's what I would definitely like to do.
Wow.
What I have learned and being able to others who would like to go down the same
That's interesting. That's a really nice goal.
route.
Okay, so yeah, you've had an interesting career. You started in as a system operator, system this admin role, and then gradually now you're an AWS architect, and you, you have reached your passion. You really like your job today. How would you advise somebody who's just fresh out of college? How how should that person come out, and what should be the what should be the path, and how should he choose a career?
In cloud or for architecture or
Anyway, anyway, how should one choose his
So
career?
mm, I'll be honest, if I speak for myself, like I did not get out of school and think I wanted to be an AWS architect. It didn't happen that way. I um, was good with computers and I just stuck at it. But I really needed something that was challenging, that was awesome, and it was like just kick ass. I wanted it to wow me. I wanted something that was um, able to keep uh, pressing. Um, and that is what I kind of asked myself, like, what was, because I wasn't enjoying uh, my my operator's role.
Mm.
So I realized how developers are really core to businesses, and I realized how um, much value they could kind of create. So when it came to me, I kind of put those kind of two together and how I could kind of change um, myself. So when I was motivated by not only like job satisfaction and being able to do cool things, but I was also motivated monetarily. So um, it was like I didn't want to waste a large portion of my time studying when at the end of the day it wasn't going to change my day to day. And I also uh, realized how powerful it was at the same time. And that's when I was kind of, because you position yourself um, in that kind of direction, um, or able to guarantee yourself work and a job in the future for a long time. I don't think I am in a position of risk at all. Um, there, there is a large portion of my skills that are missing in organizations, and that was kind of choice of able to make that decision of one guaranteeing yourself cool, awesome work, a nice paycheck, always learning, and I kind of got to take the soft skills um, side of the career. So if you have a development background or you've learned software engineering, you're able to apply almost all your knowledge into any field. And even if you don't have a degree, you can still learn cloud. Okay? Your journey is not different. It's just a longer. So um, learning cloud is, I would say, you need to understand not only DevOps, but also how a normal IT team works or functions. So starting off fresh, even though you may know how to code, you need to know project frameworks, OSs, and all of the soft skills. So experience is key, and you're only able to get experience by applying yourself to a role, and even if it's exposed to working application teams and so on, you're going to like fill the gaps in your head, and then through there kind of gain confidence. So being able to focus and learn and have that mindset, you will go from a junior to an intermediate. And it's being able to kind of climb that ladder and focus by realizing, okay, I have some strengths here, but where else I kind of falling short, and the only way to kind of bridge those gaps is to find a job and start working. There is a, a a thing that like, let's say for example, if you didn't read your code after 6 months, it's like somebody else had. And it's the same thing with 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 anything. Yes, it's like riding a bike, but being able to practice and the skills that you've learned, being able to reapply that, and through that, going to gain experience, and through gaining experience, be able to be marketable and go that direction. I don't have a answer like what you should do or what you should focus on. But in terms of cloud, you can do whatever you want to. There is no kind of bridge or gap or no, I can't do this, I can't do that. Um, uh, I've seen many individuals from different backgrounds learn what they plan out to do. It's just a different journey and time and effort. And that's it. I've seen my friends go from working as a support engineer to being an architect in a year and a half. I've seen people being unemployed to being a developer. And I've seen fresh graduates learning cloud and starting their own startup. It's crazy how take a background, mix some cloud, and magical things happen. But like my mentor said, you need to put your head down and focus for these two. And that's the bottom line is it's that hard work. Even though you're still a grad, doesn't mean you're finished. Fortunately, you'll be able to add a lot of value, but the journey has just started. And find what strikes your interest, what keeps that desire for you to learn. As long as you're able to find that, then just go for it. Don't wait, just do it, and you'll see doors will start to open for you. Don't worry about that. You're doing the work, you're getting certified, you're making sure that you're learning, and you're doing the best you can. Someone will find you out. And take a look at AWS as I don't know the exact number, but let's say more than 175 services. And then from that we have blockchain, AI, AR, besides the normal compute and containers and serverless, DevOps, and we can go on and on. And all of those are highly in demand, and all of them can be mastered. Can't master them, unfortunately, but you'll soon find that this is what strikes my fancy, and as soon as that field, go for it. And for mine, I really like modernizing applications. I wanted to take a monolith application and put it on microservices and just automate stuff. For me, that's just fun. So that's what I would focus on. What is fun for you? Focus on that. Keep going. Focus for some time, and that's it.
That's interesting. So basically, you're saying that you should just start with it, keep playing around, learn more. So you'll surely find something that really catches your passion.
100%. AWS can have any data center spun up pretty much. So whether it's machine learning, stuff that's traditionally really expensive, you can learn about it. And being able to find what you want to learn about is 100% what I would look for. And you can learn about these things by watching videos online. So like reInvent, really great place to look. And yeah, just Google searching, finding what people are building, what problems people are solving. Because usually it's that direction. It's more on the problem, some tech. Some is tech, less on. But yeah,
That's right. That's really interesting. I'm sure the students will definitely catch some inspiration here.
I would like to hope so too.
That's really nice.